Hi, friends, and welcome to the Gifted Essentials Library. Today's book is one that I really, really like. It's a new book. It came out this year in 2022, and it is all about living your vision in all different kinds of neat ways. So it has a lot of the same messages as I speak, and I've been teaching for the last 40 years. And it's very well written and really well done. And I enjoyed reading it because I also think fondly of the author. I have a signed copy of the book, actually, and the name of the book is Mission Possible, and it's by Tim Tebow, right here, right? See my little things. And it says, "Go create a life that counts." So Tim Tebow, you probably know who he is. If you don't know who he is, I first knew him at the University of Florida, where he won a Heisman Trophy. I believe he's a sophomore then, and we had 2 national titles under him. But here's what really got me to pay attention to Tim Tebow way back then. Now I'm a lifetime alumni member of the University of Florida, and the school and all of its entirety matters to me, not just football. But Tim always stood up for what he believed in. He always, from the very beginning and still to this day in his life, he stands by his convictions in an authentic, real, honest manner. And I respect that. I respected it then, and I still respect it today. And so I love to listen to what he has to say, and I love to kind of just connect with that vibe because it's refreshing to me. So this book, Mission Possible, was just came out this year, and here's what I love about it. One is it talks about living your life's vision and your mission, and that it is possible. It's the same kind of thing I talk about all the time in a different way. He uses his idea of purpose and calling to help us see that living a spiritually based life is really the way to do it. And I talk about spiritual principles in living and in business all the time. Now, Tim comes from the Christian model, and so he does a lot of Bible references through the book. And that is really refreshing because you can see the story that he tells with the Bible reference and how it applies to him. It's not just a book that has a bunch of scripture thrown at you without real evidence and real understanding and real application to what it is he's talking about. In the very beginning, he's talking about purpose and calling, and I had the thought from when I was in seminary that God can only do for us what God can do through us. So we can say the divine, we can say whatever, but I'm going to use the word God in this because it's easier for me. But we can only receive from the spiritual realms of the world, from God, what we allow God to do through us. And so that's where we talk about getting out of our own way, following our higher calling, doing what the right thing is for the right motives, in the right as in higher spiritual principles, right? Of love, kindness, generosity, standing up for what you believe in a real way that has to do with being spiritually aligned. So standing up for what is right from the higher purpose of what's spiritually aligned is important because our ego is not always our amigo. And sometimes our ego wants to have a different story that may not be for our highest good. In the beginning of the book, he also tells about getting engaged to his now wife, Demi. And I love the personal stories throughout the book because Tim is very personable anyway. And hearing the personal stories and how it applies and how it relates, and most importantly, being able to connect to the underpinnings of the character and the love and the commitment that Tim has for life in general and for living his purpose, really make this book refreshing. So I think it is Mission Possible, not Mission Impossible, like the old TV show, right? It is Mission Possible. Now, I want to point out a couple other things about the book. In the chapter on purpose, there's a little breakout here, and it says something that it rang true for me. It's not about knowing every detail or having an answer for every question. It's about accepting the mission God has prompted in your heart and following it one step at a time. So I say the same thing all the time. It's about listening to our heart's desire and then doing that. Suit up, show up, do the next right thing. When we get overwhelmed with the big picture, we kind of miss some of the beauty along the way. And so this is a very important teaching that he says, and I like how he says it. And then he brings up in a later chapter that choosing humility produces holy confidence. And I love that. I was like, yeah, that's true. Humility means to be of the earth. It does not mean to be walked on or less than. It means of the earth, meaning grounded. I'm grounded. I'm of the earth. I am that nurturing person that's humble. And so that helps us with our confidence. And I like how he says that there too. There's a couple others. Hold on. Well, there's many others. These are the ones I picked out. Oh, this is one of my favorite ones. And this is near the end of the book. He talks about your life counts. And I'm here to tell you that you're here on purpose with a purpose, and every little thing about your life does count. Every feeling you have, every thought you have, you are breathing air, sucking air for a reason. And at the end of all my Someone Gets Me podcast episodes, you hear me say, you're a rock star. You're here on purpose with a purpose, because I believe that. And I believe that Tim believes that. And so there's a lot of resonance in a lot of the things. And here is one of the things that he says in this Your Life Counts chapter. One of the greatest questions you can ask yourself is, does my life change other people's lives for the better? In other words, is your presence being a benefit to others, right? I always say, is it for the highest good of all concerned? Are we a beneficial presence? Does your life matter to the sense where other people are benefiting from your presence? Like, really? Now, I don't know if you know this or not, but Tim is very, very active in the human trafficking movement and really doing a lot to save people who are victims of human trafficking in all different kinds of ways. People's lives are better because of his presence in them, not just because he played football, not because of where he went to school, not because of all of those things, not because of anything other than his internal commitment to who he says he is, doing what he knows is his to do, and having integrity in it. Period. There's nothing more beautiful than that. It's not about all the extra outside things. It's about where the heart comes from. So is your presence in other people's lives doing something of benefit, beneficial, as in for the higher good, helping others, where, it's like the old Boy Scout thing, leave the campsite better than you found it. Well, are you leaving earth better than you found it? Are you leaving a relationship or a job or a situation better than you found it? What are we doing, right? And then another quote here later in that same chapter says, what matters more than the fun we have or the stuff we accumulate is what we did with the time we were given. Right? What are we doing? What are we doing with the time we are given, really? So it's gifted people and twice exceptional people, where we have lots of things going on and lots of ideas and lots of inspiration. And sometimes we can get overwhelmed with it all, right? One thing I love about this book is that it really helps you stay grounded and realize there's certain things to pay attention to. One is following your inner mission, slowing down enough and connecting with the divine enough to be confident and have competence, right, in our steps, in what we're doing, what actions we are taking, whatever they are, to follow our inner calling. Because no two people have exactly the same calling. And so that's one of the things that's fun about this book, is it has a lot of Christian scripture in it, because that's Tim's reference point. And it's very valuable information. And the personal stories and the way he translated into that your life's mission is possible really helps us undo the cultural trance that it's not possible. I've had several people just recently talking to me about, oh, I have this great vision for my life, and I really see what my purpose is, but it's not even possible to do it. Giving all the power outside, to the government or the this or the economy or whatever it is. Well, if you read this book, what you start realizing very quickly is that it's all about an inside job, right? It's all about living your mission and your purpose on purpose from the inside out. And when you do that, all your external things line up. So it doesn't matter whether he's helping kids or whether he's playing football or whether he's with his beautiful family or whatever Tim is doing, that the alignment is the same. I learned that about him when he was playing football back in 2006 or 7, somewhere in there. And it's still true today. So what about all of us, right? What about all of us? Because I'm sure he has his down days too, like we all do. We all have up and down. And I believe that Tim's gifted. So if that's true, then we know that he has really big experiences within his body. But does that change the trajectory of the mission? See, I don't think so. I think when we're following our heart's desire, we can have all the feelings around it all, and we can, have all the intensities and overexcitabilities, and the mission remains like this grounding force. It's kind of like a rod that we stick in the earth, right? So I recommend this book for people who really want to live their life's mission and want to have a way of thinking about it step by step that makes sense. So the chapters are things like mission proposal, mission purpose. That's where he tells the story about becoming engaged. And then he talks also about starting right where you are, what your superpowers are, how to get through resistance, and all different kinds of things that are very practical from a Christian perspective that's backed up with scripture and story. And so I really like the mixture of those things where you can see the actual application. So, Mission Possible from Tim Tebow, a really good book for gifted people to really get centered on living from the inside out. Your mission is possible even when your brain wants to say it's not. So if there's a book you want me to read, make sure you email me or message me, and I'll be glad to grab that book and read that too. This book was suggested by a listener, and because I followed Tim already and have a great respect for him, I chose to get a copy and read the book, and I'm really, really glad I did. So enjoy the book, and let me know if you have any requests, because I am happy to read a book that you request and then share my review and how it applies to gifted people. All right. Till the next episode of Gifted Essentials Library, be well.